So the past year, we've seen trillions of dollars approved by the U.S. Congress. Trillions approved by the former Trump administration, and then the Biden administration coming in with a trillion plus more. And all of it for COVID relief being spread out across all sectors. The private sector got trillions. The public sector got trillions. And that includes states getting billions of dollars. I think the state of Illinois is still sitting on like $3 or $4 billion from like 5 or 6 that they got. But even local governments getting tons of money. We talked with Springfield Alderman Chuck Redpath earlier this morning. It tells you just how much we get jam-packed into each day. Feels like a week's already gone by. But we talked with Alderman Redpath from Springfield, and he discussed how, they've got $15 million in COVID relief funds that just showed up, and they've got an additional $17 million more from federal taxpayers that's coming to Springfield. And he says that they're sitting pretty good right now with tax dollars to be able to spend. But what about some of the largest cities in the country? Not doing too great. Truth in Accounting, they are a public finance watchdog. They look at the budget books and the audited financials of cities and states all across the country. And they do the Fiscal State of the States report where they grade states. Illinois regularly gets an F. We've got huge unfunded pension liabilities, huge unfunded retiree health care liabilities. And all of this really crimps Illinois' budget. But they also look at cities, and the finances of cities is pretty telling as well. It is the WMAY Morning News Feed. I'm Greg Bishop, and I talked with Sheila Weinberg with Truth in Accounting. Their new report, the Fiscal State of the Cities report, is out today, and it looks at the largest 75 cities all across the United States. And 2 cities that sandwich Illinois is, of course, Chicago and St. Louis. How did they do? Not too hot. And I talked with her about both Chicago and St. Louis. And we start by hearing her thoughts about Chicago and where they're at, despite getting $1.9 billion from federal taxpayers, despite St. Louis getting $500 million from federal taxpayers for COVID-19 relief. How are these cities doing? Well, Sheila Weinberg with Truth in Accounting starts off to tell us about the city of Chicago.
They didn't start going in good shape, and we found that during the pandemic, despite that they got federal aid from COVID relief packages, they increased the debt by more $2.3 billion. So they're just continuing a downward spiral of a debt. Yeah, we rank them the second last. They have a per taxpayer burden of $43,700. That's how much each taxpayer is on the hook to pay Chicago, not to cover future expenses. These are costs that have already been incurred. It's think of it like credit card charges. They've charged up their credit cards, and future taxpayers are going to have to pay for that. One interesting thing about the city of Chicago compared to the worst city, which is New York City, the Chicago's numbers in their financial statements does not include entities like their school district. So that's an additional money that taxpayers owe. And later on, we'll do a combined taxpayer burden, and we'll find out that in the city of Chicago, you owe for the city of Chicago, you owe for the school district, you owe for CTA. And if you add up all of those, Chicago's taxpayer burdens are in a lot worse shape than the city of New York. St. Louis, we're looking at, they had, quote, only a taxpayer burden of $17,500. In Chicago, we gave an F grade. They flunked their finances. St. Louis got a D grade. Again, they had $1.6 billion of money needed to pay their bills. So, they're not doing great, and their financial condition worsened a lot during the pandemic. Their taxpayer burden went from $14,600 per taxpayer all the way up to $17,500 per taxpayer. Well, the pandemic proved something that we were nervous about, truth in accounting, that when these governments get into trouble, guess who they go to? Friendly Uncle Sam. Yeah, governments, they have been, the economy was doing relatively well before the pandemic. Cities like Chicago did not have money set aside. In fact, they were $35 billion in the hole. And when things get bad, they go, well, we're in a crisis. We need money from the federal government, and the money from the federal government means money from all city of Chicago taxpayers and money from taxpayers around the country. The Sunshine Cities have a tendency to balance their budget a little better. They don't incur as much pension and retiree health care debt. Some of them don't even have retiree health care debt. We find it surprising that a lot of these governments offer this. People are, oh no, their pensions are horribly funded. Well, most cities they don't put any money aside for their retiree health care debt. So the way to think about this is, again, they've charged things up to employee compensation to their employee health care debt credit card, and they're not even paying the minimum payments. So of course that debt just keeps on going up and up and up.
That's Sheila Weinberg with Truth in Accounting, delving into all of these numbers for the 75 cities. And again, Chicago second worst behind only New York, but that's only for the city of Chicago finances. That doesn't include all of the other taxing bodies that city of Chicago residents have to pay for, like public schools or CTA. She said that when they do compile all those numbers, Chicago is likely going to be the worst. And for St. Louis is the 11th worst out of 75 cities. Now, some cities, I think there were the top 13, actually had a taxpayer surplus, while Chicago has a taxpayer debt of $40,000+ per taxpayer. St. Louis has a per taxpayer debt of $17,000+. The top 13 largest cities that Truth in Accounting reviewed did have surpluses. So some cities are doing it right. Others, despite COVID-19 relief dollars, not doing so hot. And the cities that sandwich Illinois, Chicago and St. Louis, not looking too pretty. It is the WMAY morning news feed. Got a call coming in. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
I hear people like her come on TV or the radio and really explain it. Why don't they make her change her job to Illinois government? It sounds like she knows how to straighten it out.
I think that I don't know Sheila's background, but she's done enough with finances and looking at numbers and looking at annual audited reports. She's probably best to be outside of government looking in rather than inside the inner workings of government, because sometimes you can find a certain level of self-preservation when you get into certain sectors of Illinois government. So always appreciate the work that Truth in Accounting does. All right, that's a little review of some of the top cities and how they're doing here on the WMAY morning news feed. All right, let's take a break.